that the IRS has put out. It's very different from the previous W-4 that employees have been filling out for years. But I actually believe it's a little bit simpler. And so this quick video is just to give you kind of a quick tutorial on how to complete this form. So this first section up here is obvious, right? Your name, address, and your filing status. So I'm actually going to complete the form as I talk, just so you can see, and we're going to make up some fake data. So you're just going to put in your name and address. And one of the things you want to know is that single and married filing separate have the same checkbox, and head of household is different. I'm actually going to select joint, married filing joint. And so the next section says complete steps 2 through 4 only if they apply to you. If they do not apply to you, then you go straight to step 5. So step 2 says multiple jobs or your spouse works. So you only complete this section if you have more than one job, or you're selecting married filing joint and your spouse also has a job. That's the only reason you would complete section 2. So I selected married filing joint and my spouse has a job, and so I'm going to complete section 2. Section 2 only has one option. There's one box to check if it's applicable. So it says do only one of the following. You either use the estimator, which is online, or if you can use the multiple jobs worksheet, which is on page 3, or if there are only 2 jobs total, meaning you have one job and your spouse has one job, so 2 jobs total, then you can check this box, which I'm going to check. And then your spouse, when they complete their W-4, they also need to check this box. So I'm going to choose this option. Most likely, you're going to have this option if you're married filing joint, where you and your spouse only have one job. If you and your spouse have more than one job, then you would use the multiple jobs spread worksheet, which I'll show you in a second. So let's first run through this scenario. So married filing joint, I have one job, spouse has one job. We're going to check this box. All right, and so then we're going to go down. Complete steps 3 and 4 for only one of these jobs. So if you're completing it, leave it blank for the other jobs. So if you are the one completing it, then you complete the section. Since your withholding would be more accurate if steps 3 and 4 on the W, if you complete it for the highest paying job. So let's say in this scenario, I have a job, my husband has a job, and he has a higher salary. So we're going to say if your income is $200,000 or less for single, or $400,000 or less for married filing joint, then you're going to take the number of your dependent children who are under the age of 17 and multiply it by 2,000. Any other dependents, multiply it by 500. So we have 2 children, so I'm going to take 2 times 2,000, and we're going to put 4,000 right here. We don't have any other dependents, so we're going to leave it blank. But if we did have another dependent, another qualifying dependent who is not your child, then you would put $500 here times however many other dependents they are. And then you add up the total and put the total over here on line 3. Step 4, which says optional, it's optional. Note that it's optional. You only complete this section if you want to do one of the following. So if you have other income, So, and you have some sort of Schedule C income, but some sort of income that you don't have any type of withholdings coming from because they're not jobs, right? Then you want the IRS to withhold a little bit of extra money to help cover that. Then you can put that on this line. If you claim deductions other than the standard deduction, then and you want to reduce your withholding, then you would put that amount on this line based off of the deductions worksheet. And then if you just want the IRS to withhold just a little bit extra to make sure you're covered from each paycheck, then you can put that amount on this line. And then you sign and date it, and that's it. The form is complete. So on the payroll side of the house, we enter in the information that we see here. So now I'm going to go back up and I'm going to go back up to step 2, and I'm going to choose, instead of checking the box for only 2 jobs total, I'm going to say that maybe I have a job and my husband has 2 jobs. And so it says use the multiple jobs worksheet on page 3 and then enter the results on line 4C to get, which is down here below. And so I'm going to scroll down to page 3 to the worksheet. It's actually page 4 here, but that's okay. Correction, we are on page 3. And so multiple jobs worksheet. So if you choose the option in step 2, then you complete this worksheet on only one of the W4. So if both you and your spouse have a W4, only one of you needs to complete this section. Otherwise, you're going to have too much taxes withheld out of you collectively. You get a bigger refund, maybe at the end of the year, you possibly could. But during the year, you're going to have less money that's coming into your home to pay for expenses. So whoever makes the most income, then you would use this worksheet to complete for that person. So one of the reasons to complete this section is if you do have 2 jobs, but the wages are going to be more than $120,000 combined, or you have 3 or more jobs. So if there's going to be more than $120,000 combined, then, and you have 2 jobs and you're married filing joint, then you go down to page 4 and use the table to determine the amount that goes here. And it says use the higher paying job row and the lower paying job column. So we're going to go down to page 4 for married filing joint. And let's say the higher paying job makes $70,000 and then the person making the lower amount makes $60,000. So we're going to come down to the intersection of where those 2 numbers meet. And whatever number is there, then we're going to put it up in the box. So I'm going to say highest paying job makes 70, but the lower paying job makes 60. The intersecting number is 7,570. So we're going to go back up and we're going to put that number here, 7,570. Because I'm saying there's only 2 jobs, I don't need to complete section 2 because that's for 3 jobs. And so then on line 3, we're going to enter the number of pay periods for that job. So we're going to put in 26 for our bi-weekly pay schedule. But if you have bi-monthly, you will put 24. If you have weekly, you will put 52. And then on line 4, you're going to take the number and divide it. So you're going to take the 7,570 and divide it by 26. And enter it on this line. It should be a dollar amount. You'll know if you did it the correct way, because if you do it the other way, 26 divided by 7,570 is 0, which can't be. So you'll know you did it right if you get an actual number. Okay. Then you're going to take this number, 291.15, and enter it on in step 4C up above. So we're going to go back up to step 4C and put the number here. And then again, you would sign and date it. If you had an additional withholding amount there, so $25 per paycheck, $50 per paycheck, or whatever, you would add this number to that number if you wanted extra withholding taken out. Okay. And just let me point out real quick, it gets you to the same number, but I did the finding the number backwards. So originally I showed you to take the highest paying number here and the lowest paying number here, but it's actually the reverse. So the 70,000 here over to the 60,000 here still gives me the same number, but I wanted to make sure I showed you the correct way to do it, because when we do the next section, it matters. So if you have more than 2 jobs, then you leave number 1 blank on the worksheet and you go to number 2. And on number 2, I've already pre-filled the information for you. So we take the highest paying job and then the next highest paid job, right? So that's going to probably be both of the spouse's main jobs. So I'm going to give it the same number. The 70 and the 60 gives me an intersection of 75.70. And then it says add the wages of the 2 highest paying jobs. So 70 plus 60 would be 130,000. And then use that number in the column for the 100 for this column as the highest paying job, and then the number of the lowest paying. So let's just say it's a part-time job making less than, making $20,000 a year. So that puts us in an intersection of 5,900, and so that number is here. Add the 2 together, divided by the number of pay periods of the highest paying job, and it gets us a number of 518.08. And so then that number is the number that you actually go up here and put on line 4C. And again, sign and date it. And then the last section I'm going to explain is this deduction section under section 4. So if you happen to itemize on your tax return, which I'm not so sure many people do this year after the tax law changes from last year, but if you are still able to itemize, then you will need to go down to the bottom half of the worksheet and fill out that section to come up with a number that goes here, if applicable. So I've already pre-populated that section for you as well. I'm going to say it says estimate your itemized deductions. I put 15,000. If you're married filing joint, then you put in the number of 24.8. Subtract the 2. If line 2 is more than line 0, then enter 0, which I did. And student loan interest, deductible IRA contributions, and certain other deductions will go here as 0. And then add lines 3 and 4. And so I came up with 0. And if you're itemized, if you do happen to, because I am not in a position to be able to itemize in this scenario, but if I was in a position to be able to itemize, let's say my itemized deductions were 25,000, and then married filing joint, I was still 24.8. Then I would put $200 here as my difference, and then adding lines 3 and 4, I would put 200 here, and then this number goes up to line 4B, which we originally left blank. And then we still have our other withholding exemptions. And so, again, sign and date. So I hope this video, as quick as it can be, helps you figure out how to do your exemptions. I honestly feel like it's easier than the previous form. It just looks, it just looks more complicated. There's more words, but I actually think it's actually easier to complete than the previous one. So again, this needs to be completed in order to be in compliance beginning in 2020 with the IRS, because the withholding exemptions that we've been using for ages and eons is no longer valid. So hope this helps.